All right, much better. Thing a little bit technical difficulties, but good morning, everybody. Welcome. And today we're going to be chatting up about everything that we can think of when it comes to going into esports itself and everything that accompanies it. Now, today is going to be slightly different. It's going to be talking about games in general and their patches. More specifically, we'll be talking about the patch notes here for Critical Ops and what has come out, what's the new patches. Now, granted, this is going to be for beta, so that is going to be subject to change, but these are the changes that have been made and are intended to be made. So that's going to be at least giving us a good playing field of what is to come. Again, the things are subject to change with these betas and patch notes for those, so nothing too concrete, but most of this should be there. But I do have somebody who knows quite a lot about these types of things. Today, I am welcomed with Deepa. You guys may know and love him. Welcome, Deepa. So, today we've got some interesting information coming out of Critical Force. They've got the beta patch notes as of right now. And really today, well, along with the patch notes, what our thoughts on that is. We can also kind of chat about how we think about the frequency of everything. You know, like some games they update every day, every week, some every month, and then so on. It could be longer, but you know, I think that's kind of important for the game and what it may have. And again, we may have differing opinions. We'll find out. But before we go too deep, for everybody who may be seeing this later on, so the Critical Force has put out a nice little teaser for something coming very soon. We do see a nice little badge that they've uploaded on Twitter if you want to go check them out. That is COPS_esports on Twitter. Pro League.
That they will not be hosting any more circuit and won't be hosting any official tournaments with CF for now.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So, Compact Esports for a minute now has been a little, AFK, right? So unfortunately, I think due to some internal issues, maybe what it may be, to where they just are unable to continue to do it.
Yep, I've worked there for a long time, as I was the SU director, etc. And it was a really good org. People worked hard. I don't know what happened since I've left, but it's unfortunate to see them leave. I saw that they asked if the community wanted to see the Critical Ops League they used to do, the COL, back in the days again. And if they do bring that back, I think it'll be pretty good, as it was one huge tournament back then.
Yeah, that in itself I think would be pretty good. And honestly, so it seems like they're still available, they're still around. Maybe just not at the capacity that they need to be when it comes to doing circuit. Because I mean that is a lot of man hours, that is a lot of things to do to make that production happen. So they might still be able to bring back some of their old school type stuff that they can manage to do on a regular basis. It would be nice to see them kind of come back and rejoin the scene itself, because pretty much when they started doing circuit, it was pretty much only circuit. They kind of stopped doing their OG stuff. So I think that's kind of a big thing that they can come back and at least bring that back.
They stopped the Critical Ops League to host circuit.
Yeah.
I don't have this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which again was great for them to do. Which I mean, great opportunities, and I don't think nobody would be upset with them for them doing that by all means. But that in itself was kind of a hard thing that the community kind of expected, at least from what they're used to seeing from them. So. At least now that this gives them an opportunity to kind of get back to the grassroots and bring it back.
It's their opportunity to start from zero.
Yeah, which depending on what you think, that may be a good thing, that may be a bad thing. Once they've gotten so high, but again, they can rebuild. They've been there, they've done it, and I'm sure Critical Force would be more than happy to work with them again as they move forward. But with that announcement, shortly after this Pro League announcement came out, so will this be something that is separate from the normal leagues, or tournaments that we're seeing with Worlds now and Circuit? Will this be a continuation? Will be this separate? Because this still could be something. This could be its own thing. It could be a free for all. I mean, we don't know what it necessarily is yet. All they've shown is the title for it. I mean, a league is typically something that goes on for a long period of time, but we don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious of how the qualification and what teams will be participating on. I think that's one of the things I'm really curious about. How long it will last, and how they're gonna invite slash qualify into this pro league.
Yeah, because when it comes to leagues, again, typically they run for a certain amount of time, but is there going to be any prerequisites? Do you need to be having certain amount of time, certain ranks, certain amount of tournaments? Are they going to force anybody to play in something else to make their way forward to be in this league? Or is this everybody come all? If Compact Esports isn't doing Circuit now, is this going to be a new Circuit? Maybe, because Worlds is still Worlds, and that's kind of your biggest area. So I don't know if this is going to supersede it or just replace Circuit.
I can't see it like being bigger than Worlds, but I think it's most likely going to be a replacement for Circuit, as they can't leave that big spot that Circuit was taking. As Circuit did take 3 months every year. It was 3 months, then 1 or 2 break, and 3 months again of Circuit. So that's still a little big space on the roadmap, which it's also hasn't also been out, and I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah,
but and I mean, they must fill those months.
Yeah, and I mean, they could still find another org to take on Circuit. I mean, Compact Esports was the first one that they paired with for these big official things, and then Mobile Esports became next, which has now taken over for Worlds. And I assume at this point will either take over potentially Circuit, or at least assist in the meantime, because I don't think they're just going to throw a new org at it just straight off the bat and give them full reign. So at that point, it's just kind of have to wait and see what their plans are with it. But that roadmap's going to be big to find out if Circuit's still on the chopping block with it, or if they're going to be moving into something else with Pro League, and which I would assume Pro League will be on the roadmap if they've been teasing it. I would assume that Pro League would be something we'd see close to the end of the year, kind of like Worlds. If I had to guess, they'd put Pro League near the end, just so they have time to flush things out and get things good, and then move Worlds up a bit.
Yeah, I don't think they can put the Pro League really fast, as they only teased it to us. I don't think they have like all the staff and etc. ready for it to be hosted.
Yeah,
and I think the first season of Circuit started the 3rd or 4th in the month of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what's gonna be gonna be using those 3 months, as I don't think Pro League can be done that fast, at least as it doesn't have any staff out right now, I think. Not that we know.
Yeah, I mean that would be something that they would have to have ready. And as far as us, you being deep in the community and me being caster, I haven't heard anything yet about Pro League as far as what staffing needs or casting opportunities. So unless things are just going to be completely on its head, then it still is in the early stages. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, for the most part, patches are kind of the big thing. This is kind of our nice little piece early on. But so with the patches, before we get into the patch notes, we since this is still just beta release information, let's kind of chat about a little bit. Like, what do you think would be frequency wise would be a good amount of updates? When it comes to, I'm going to say the business side of things. I do know that when you release updates and patches, it does cost money. You do have to pay your respective store to push that out and replace it. So, but I do know there's other games that I guess circumvent it a little bit. I'm not really sure if that counts. But you have like PUBG and Call of Duty that when you load up, the game itself has an update. And you download it through the game, and then you start playing. You don't have to go to the respective app stores, right? So I don't know if that's a feature that you can do that, or if that's something that you can put into your game that goes with the store, because those you get a certain version when you download it from the app store, and then you still load into the game. You still have to download all these patches and all these updates. So if that's the case, if it's outside of the realm, maybe that's something CF may need to kind of figure out. But how often do you think you should be getting updates for the game?
Well, I'm pretty happy with the frequency we have been having at cops. I think right now we had a little bit bigger time frame than we usually had during the last year, during the last and this update. But I'm pretty happy with it because I don't think there's a need for too many updates on the game as cops, as we only kind of need to develop more the parts of the hosting, parts of the small details on the meta, as like Scar is still super overpowered, but that's another thing. But it's not many things. There's not a need for big updates right now. So I think the current frequency of like every 2 months, I think it is right now. Not sure, but seems like pretty much over 2 months, 2 to 3 months. It's pretty good.
See, every time that I leave chat up, throughout the circuits and worlds, I always see people asking, when's the next update? When's the next update? Now, don't get me wrong, they could just be people who just kind of want to be obnoxious a little bit. That potentially what they want to do, but when it comes to other games, with this update string, do you want, like you're saying, it's every 2 months, right? So do you want to see every week, every 2 weeks, to where the updates are happening, and they don't have to be major updates, these quality of life things, or these adjustments to weapons and things could be done in a smaller update, and it at least shows that the game is being touched. But again, sometimes that costs money. So obviously they don't want to just throw a random update just for the Scar, right? Just update it and cost them however much money. Just throw an update that could technically go with other updates. But again, now that I guess goes into the area of those updates. If they can get its update in game versus not the app store, they might be able to circumvent that to at least get some of that in there if they wanted to. But at the current status, let's say it is paid. I think every, again, I don't know if it costs the same no matter what, but every 2 weeks to a month, I think might be better, just so community people, and say if people are looking in the app store, they can see kind of the last patch notes on the app. If it's like 2 months ago, that's kind of weird, because most other games will update pretty frequently.
Yeah, I can understand that the show activity over the game.
Yeah,
but like as a player, I don't think that will make such a difference. Maybe for the people outside that still don't play cops, they can see the game is currently always being worked on. But I don't know if CF has like the staff and the possibility to do so many updates, as they are also, as the new CEO Mika said when he took over, they're also looking to develop other games. They have several prototypes on, So I don't know
True.
how their staff is, and I don't think they can keep up an every 2 weeks to 1 month update.
Well, when it comes to that, I mean, they have these huge updates. I mean, the beta that we're gonna be chatting about here in just a second. It's a long list, and I think that, like, say at the bottom, the bug fixes. There are quite a few that they probably could have either put out the bug fixes on their own or split it in half, where it's like fixing sound when buying armor, or fixing missing sound when buying equipment in the loadout, fixing scoreboard desync when reconnecting to a game. Those things could have been put together and just shown as a quality of life fix. Now, again, if it costs a lot of money to push these small things out, fully understand why they're jumping these all together, which is totally fine. But I think if they could figure out a solution to that, to be able to push these things out, some point, just again, like I said, so that, people outside of COPS, right? They can't, activity is kind of important to, is the game dead or not? Now, don't get me wrong, 2 months is by all means not an eternity, but seeing small updates, to me personally, I like seeing that the devs may be on top of things, but obviously the app stores are a little different for pushing out full app versions.
About the bug fixes, I think if they can like do what you said earlier about the updating by in-game updates, and if that doesn't cost any money, then it will be a possibility to do those 2 weeks every 2 weeks update with the bug fixes, and even the map changes. There is just a little bit over it on the patch notes, as for here example, heat improved performance, the vision upgraded how characters appear. So that's some small things that I think that could be done on these 2 to 1 month updates by in game, if they could do that and it wouldn't cost any money to show the activity to the players.
Yeah, yeah, I think that'd be something good for them to do. Just now, could they update the description nonetheless, as far as on the Play stores? Possibly, because I know that's not an update to the game, but it is to the description. So I guess that's where the confusing factor would probably come into play, is could they do these updates respectively and be able to also keep things updated across the board, as far as the Play Store or the Apple Store, to where they did release a nice little patch in game, but can they put that as patch notes in said game without putting out an update or a new APK out for it?
Uh, I don't think if they do the updates by in game, like PUBG or Koream do it, and I think Apex Mobile before it now it's going to be shut down, but before it was also did their updates by in game. But if they do like that, I don't think it shows on the App Store, because if it did, it will be technically a new update that they changed the app for, and I think that will be costing the money, as
Yeah.
we said earlier. So
Yeah.
I think they will probably go for keeping the same frequencies with these a little bit bigger updates with a lot of stuff in.
Yeah, and don't be wrong, the big updates themselves do a great job as far as showing the activity and what they're doing. They're really doing a lot, because in these beta patch notes, there's a lot of fixes, there's a lot of bugs. So they're at least hearing people about the bugs, being able to update all those things, which is huge, and making sure that it doesn't break anything is kind of the big thing. So there's got to be a good bit of testing going on when they fix these things, and testing them internally, just to make sure it's fine. But they're making a lot of changes to the game UI. It looks like they got the profile menu, they got the command menu, inbox, delete, name change, landing page or title screen, and the login pop up. So they're making, it says safe areas added, which, just to read it right off the off the site. The safe area components render in the content within the safe area boundaries of the device. So to leave a nice little padding on the edge. So I'm assuming that is just restructuring, making sure that there's sides in between everything, so nothing gets stretched out off screen and where you can't click it. Because I've seen that happen on a couple games where I'm just trying to tap, but nothing's happening.
But yeah, they changed the game UI pretty often. Also, in the recent updates, there's been a lot of changes. They've been adding more information, more ways to do stuff. As the deleting account, it wasn't before this last update. I think they added, and having a new menu for this stuff that actually make it, if it makes it more pretty and our life easier, it's always good.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of feedback on that, and people do like when these things changes if it is for a more easier way to use it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's easier to use, that's kind of the big thing is UI design. It's an entire industry in itself, UI UX for figuring out how things should look so people can use it, whether that's your Facebook app, your Google app, or a game that you play. Someone has designed that layout somewhere down the line, and so at least making sure that it doesn't blow up is definitely great. And again, so they've updated, audio issues or audio settings. They've made it, I think, a little bit nicer as far as that goes. They're adding more options. Even like one of the screenshots that they've done with the audio stuff, reward for each, enemy kill, or evil, or even just coming or not down to like the master volume or the music volume itself. Being able to, so they remove the toggle for the audio, used for the master slider instead. That slider to adjust the music. That also affects the victory screen, so that's something that they're allowing you to, or at least lumping in together for that. I mean, I think that potentially they could probably get a little bit more granular with it, to where you can adjust bomb plants or be able to adjust those types of things without having to lose the ability to, gunshots or footsteps or anything like that. That would be nice to see.
Yeah, they had this back on some updates before. We had the possibility to have like the in-game volume, so all that is shooting, all that is guns, moving, footsteps, and we had the other another setting of sound. I don't remember the name, but it was where it had all those ambient sounds. So the song there, the P there is on Bureau on City, the song on Cafe on Canals, we could remove that and only get the footsteps and the footsteps and those type. That's something I really miss, because sometimes it is pretty annoying to be on City trying to sound on Bureau and then you just hear a P on the background really high. And I seen here they didn't change that, as the music volume is for the event songs. They have the background songs and the victory screen music, but that's and they did say in the future they will be able to add more options regarding audio. So maybe that's something that might come back in the future. Maybe hear better the footsteps and everything that is actually about the game, like the shot noises, reloads, and those things.
Yeah, because I mean, we can't expect them to just give us a footstep slider, because then that's kind of a little bit too granular. But to be able to have maybe in-game ambience or in-game, just general, guns, footsteps, bomb plants, just kind of start lumping them together. But to where if you want to not hear music, you could probably turn that off. So don't get me wrong, I know there's the whole ambience of the map and you want to keep that, but I don't know, because that's one of those things, like it adds ambience to it. It does, but unfortunately, at that point, it then becomes a detriment of where people could hide out essentially in the sound and not be heard. So I don't know. That's kind of a tricky one because it's like, that's part of the map, but also that's kind of obnoxious sometimes. Where people can just kind of sound vomit and kind of hide themselves. Where I know recently, like say Warzone, right? I've seen so many videos of people just absolutely ear blasting people with like Barbie Girl or Baby Shark, and they just start like they're close, but they route their audio from their computer to their mic source, and they're just ear blasting people with Baby Shark, and then they just run up on people and they can't hear their footsteps because all they hear is Baby Shark blasting, which is by all means a great tactic, but like
not that fair, not that fair play.
Because in real life you can kind of tell, oh, somebody's running up on me with a portable speaker playing Baby Shark. You could kind of get more directional.
Mhm.
So using headsets like this, unless you're spending an ungodly amount of money for real 7.1 surround sound headphones where you can kind of turn your head and figure out where they're coming from, you're just getting blasted with Baby Shark with your general Turtle Beaches or Astros.
It is a problem on but that has brought a lot of funny things on TikTok about the Warzone, with that possibility now that they have the proximity chat. It's been pretty fun to see those stuff happening, like not only the ear blasting, but like people joining in and singing while they go and play the whole game. But I was here looking at the map updates, and they have talked about sound effects also on the map, on the map update. So they see updated and or added more reverb for a more immersive audio experience, and added different bullet impact sounds for weak metal and weak wood objects.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're at least adding different things to it where that can sound a little bit more different, I guess. Keeping it, change it up a little bit to where you're not hearing the same, I don't know, metal ping sound over and over, or the same wood box sound kind of thud to it, where at least you're getting more variety.
Exactly, like because I think all the green boxes and the small gray boxes in cups are all the same sound for now. I'm not sure. I might be saying something that is wrong, but it does look like it. But it's good at, like, on this map updates we see a lot of small stuff being fixed and being added, and I think it's a really good part of the update. But I do not see the bug fixes on Grounded or anything about the Grounded, as there is a lot of kind of glitches in Grounded that they need to be fixed. They are just ridiculous. People can come from outside B to B mid from the wall.
Wait, what? I haven't.
They can go from they can go from A mid to B mid by the wall, and those are kind of some small issues that kind of annoying in ranks.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. So is there just like a slip in the wall that you can go through?
It's like there's the wall,
yeah,
and the player puts himself here and moves in this direction, and he just goes past the wall to the other side.
So there's still a floor in the wall to where you can keep going. So it's not like they've cut out the floor where you fall onto the map or anything. You just go straight through.
Yeah, you just pass the wall.
Yeah, I would say that's probably something that should probably be worked on, considering that's one of the more favorited
main maps.
Yeah, one of the more favorited ones. So I mean, at that point, probably should. Especially at least the big esports ones. As far as competitive play goes, kind of keep that cleared where people aren't abusing that type of situation. But at least, I mean, that might be something that might be a little bit harder to work on. But I feel like that just might be the impact telemetry that you can put on, an object. That might be something where they reworked that, or they edited the wall in some way, and then all of a sudden, it's just that much opening to where people can, wiggle their way in, and the game just pushes you through. Because you can't stay in the wall, can you? It just pushes you through.
No, 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 no. It pushes you through.
Okay, so in that case, there is still something there, at least where you're not going in the wall, can move around freely. So they probably just need to find that little pinch, either delete it and re-expand what they already have, for the wall itself, because technically the walls aren't walls, when it comes to video games, they're they're textures, in which case then you have the physics barrier in the way to match your textures and everything. So it's there, and they just need to find out if really what happened, because if they have one long piece, there shouldn't be an opening. So if they did it in two pieces or tried to, I don't know, put something together, or maybe that's something we don't know yet. I mean, maybe they could be putting a door in between them, and that they were experimenting with having two pieces there to where they could move them later when they want to put the door in, then I don't know, because they have a door going from A to over to the hangar, but maybe they could have a door in between B to where that might actually make things a little bit harder for people to just, instead of going straight from spawn into A and camping right there at the metal detectors, they got to watch their side too. That would change the dynamic a little bit.
The thing about it, I think there is a door, but it's when you go from A mid, in your right there's a door, and that's wall bangable, and that's actually a wall bang. I'm curious on how does it work, because like there's the whole wall, and you can just shoot through a door and goes all the way to the other side of a huge wall like this. The wall is thick, and it still goes through from here and goes out there, and the wall is like this.
Yeah. So that again, see, I don't know, and and since this is definitely the more casual one, I get there, saying that you could just put kill switches, put kill barriers in between walls. That actually wouldn't be the worst idea, especially if you overexpand them past any wall you would expect, to make sure that it's covered on all edges to then just go across. Also, wouldn't be a bad idea to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen.
Outside that, I think there's a lot of added colliders and things like that for, I think, those type of things to not happen. But I've seen some interesting stuff on the map things. There's some things that I'm actually curious about to know what it is, as like optimized minor things under the hood.
Yeah.
On all maps. And on Castelo, the new map that went out not long ago, there's an added something important and 3 points, 3 dots. So I don't know what it is.
Something important.
Yeah, they're like fixed the gap on to the void, fixed bomb stuck spot, fixed issue where a transparent texture will become opaque on the lowest graphic settings. Added colliders specifically for thrown items, frag, flash, smoke in the guarded area and A side. Updated how characters appear on the victory screen, and then it's added something important ...
Yeah. I wonder if that's something that's for us to discover. Maybe that's something that maybe they added on the map that, someone just hasn't noticed yet. I think it's really fun with how some, with the developers, they could technically give, pull a Disney, use things in other maps, either a painting or something that they could potentially use to showcase stuff coming up, where, like in Disney, they have certain pictures or backgrounds or something that then later on, 4 years down the road, now there's a new movie and it's like, oh, so there's that. Like in Monsters Inc., all of a sudden, the kid has a Nemo toy, but yet Finding Nemo wasn't a thing yet for many years later. So, I mean, I wonder if that might be something what they're trying to do. Maybe we need to start looking around the map and seeing, what there is. You know.
I think I might know what it is,
Oh,
but I'm
really?
just thinking because I know I know that they put a duck in every map. There's a duck in every single map somewhere. There's on Sower in the wall between mid and the bar. There's a wall and there's a duck in there.
Okay.
Uh, on canals, sometimes it shows up on the river.
Yeah.
The duck. Uh, on Plaza, it was on a big thing, and on the top there was a duck. And I think that might be it. They might have added the duck into Castello, as that's kind of their sherry on top of the cake on the maps. There's always a duck somewhere. And I think that it might be actually that. They might have added the duck.
I don't know, because if you look, I mean, because they have added, because where that one is added something important on the patch notes. You see on Legacy added something important. ... And then if you scroll down to Shanty, also has the same thing. Added something important.
Oh, I didn't see it because I think Legacy there was already a duck.
Yeah, so they
And
have
Shanty too.
three specific added something important
stuff.
Yeah. So I
I'll
wonder.
have to.
Yeah, you have to look around and see if there's more ducks. I don't know.
They added now a pink dunk.
Well, because here's the thing that it's like what if there could be any correlation? Because there's three maps now with something important. I mean, are we looking at are they going to be going some ARG routes? Are we now having lore added in that we need to discover? Because
maybe about the story they do, because they do have the small story they work about the lone wolf, and on the events they actually do some small stories and small how do you say, kind of like comic books.
Yeah, the little
like
short
Superman,
stories,
Batman type of thing, like those short stories, and they've been putting maybe something in relation with that,
potentially to kind of grow that.
kind of,
I mean,
yeah, like a graffiti.
I don't know. We need
Something
somebody.
like
Okay,
that.
we need somebody on the beta. We need somebody who's on the regular. Fly around the map the same exact route, and we need to start doing some comparisons. We gotta figure out what this important thing is, and that is Costello, Legacy, and Shanty.
Shanty is a map for a one event specific. That's also something I didn't see why Shanty was picked for it. Shanty is like the map for the what's the name for the pirate event, where you have like the bomb already planted and you have to go and defuse it. No, the teams have to plant to win. Exactly.
Well, again, maybe that's something that needs to be discovered upon at that point. So, I mean, overall, though, they've done quite a lot of fixes, and again, there's much more. So, guys, go ahead and check out the patch notes for that. We're not covering everything specifically. I think that can be done separately or on somewhere else for that. For every single topic for it being at least verbally said, but I think that they're at least on top of it. I personally think that there should be a little bit better on the frequency. I think if they could figure out a way to make it cheaper, I think that's probably one of the biggest things is how much money it takes. And if they wanted to just start throwing updates out, that's going to be a lot of money to throw out. And if you're not gaining anything from those updates as far as cash flow, you still got to think of it as a business. Why spend that money if there's not going to be things? Now, the reason I say I like the frequency is because if you release something and it blows up, then you have a chance to quickly change that instead of 2 months later, right? If there's an issue, you can quickly change it.
That happened with the last meta update when the two Kevs was introduced, the heavy Kevlar and the light Kevlar. When the people started commenting about it, like saying they didn't like it, and with the scar being too strong, actually the guns were too weak, and the MP5, MP7 were too OP. They did quickly change it pretty fast, as it was pretty much overall opinion of everyone.
Yeah.
And then they changed it, and then they changed it again now with the removing the heavy Kevlar.
Yeah, honestly, I thought the heavy Kevlar was kind of fun, personally. I thought that added an area of dynamicness that you had a chance to have different things instead of no Kevlar. You could have cheaper Kevlar, or you could be running and gunning when there's people with cheap Kevlar. You didn't have to spend as much. So I thought that was a little bit more interesting as far as economy would go. But I absolutely understand that in these types of games, or this I guess you can say game style, there's not really it's not really a thing to have different types of I guess shields or Kevlar, whatever the thing is to reduce bullet damage. So I can get why people didn't like it, but as far as the full aspect, I thought it was quite interesting nonetheless to go along with it. So I think maybe they could introduce it later, or maybe itself limit that to like a specific game mode, maybe, because they could still use it. They could just have it to where it's literally a heavy Kevlar mode, or an event or something like that, to where they could just keep it there instead of just wasting all that time that they put into it, but without fully changing the entire meta of the game.
Yeah, just like having like some event where you have to use pistols like a heavy Kevlar, like some event for anything, any type of game mode. I think it would be a good thing for like the gun game mode.
Yeah.
Having the heavy Kevlar would make it pretty fun.
Yeah, personally, they could do something of my favorite, type of game modes is hardcore or SWAT. Call of Duty calls it hardcore mode, or SWAT. Now hardcore is different as far as Call of Duty goes. That is just a couple bullets no matter what. My preferred game mode in when I play Halo is SWAT, where it's one shot headshots, but if you shoot in the body, good luck. It takes like your whole magazine. So I think that it does. You can just be shooting somebody in the leg, and then you got to reload, keep shooting them. But if you shoot them in the head like you're supposed to, one burst, you're fine. So I think if they did maybe something like that, where you have the heavy Kevlar, like you said, use deagles, but where the heavy Kevlar is kind of turned up a little bit, so it's only headshots. Because I don't think that would really work out with SMGs, but definitely your single action weapons, maybe even snipers, headshots only, and pistols, headshots only. You could even have it as a rotation where you randomly get one of the selected ones where it's either pistols or snipers, or maybe even shotguns in the mix. I'm pretty sure people would hate that, but to where you have to take a certain amount of damage with the head, a shotgun to the head. But I think it'd be something that they could experiment with.
Yeah, I never played Halo or the hardcore mode on Call of Duty, but hearing you explaining it, it will be a really good thing. Principally on the map Bout, I think it's Bout. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a map where like fully head glitched, and it's really small. Yeah. That way, it will also like help players train their aim and train like to always look at the head, trying to shoot the head and not the body.
Yeah. Personally, so it's a way that's how I've trained personally.
Players. It's help the players train in a fun way, because they will have to go and do the headshots, but for that, the hitbox of the head needs to be perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit last time with Rain, where they go in and play bots and they practice their aim. Well, this way they can actually go online and play, and basically, and literally, all you have to do is shoot somebody in the head. Where that gives the variety of if people want to do strafing, going up and down, crouching, moving, and where you can keep following people's heads, and where that would give great training online, because no matter what, if they're squirrely, if they're good, if they're fast, no matter what, you're getting the training in because you're trying to literally track that person's head. Because I know that there's people who do use like aim labs to practice their aim, right? Well, this way you would have something similarly on mobile to where you could still practice your aim and be actually getting better at it because different people, different play styles.
Yeah, I think it's also a good thing that it would be a good thing to add. It will be helping to train the aim, the headshots, and it would be a really good a good game mode. We should actually kind of talk with Wally about it.
Yeah, hey guys, Critical Force listening, and I'm sure at some point they may be seeing this somewhere down the line. But yeah, it totally should be something. And like I said, that would give them the ability to reuse assets that they've already had, and give something interestingly new. And again, I think it'd be fun to see the shotguns. I would personally love to see the rage come from that because I know that would probably cause a lot of problems. Where people aren't one tapping, but. I just like a little bit of chaos. That's okay. So I think that'd be fine. I'd love to see that, and that gives them more options to still be able to in their rotation because obviously we've seen the Buccaneers event come through a couple times, so that would at least give something new to come through to where maybe they call it the Juggernaut event. Where basically you're a Juggernaut unless you shoot them in the head, to where that's all you can do. And like I said, pistols, shotties, snipers, I think pretty much work for that and to where that can be used.
And there's actually a really good point that Hika pointed out in the comments on the stream in the live chat, that he thinks that the current player pool in the beta is too small.
Yeah. Well, see, here's my thing when it comes to the beta, is it takes over your game, right? There's not two apps. I think that again, that possibly comes down to cost, right? If they have two apps, that's two uploads and those types of things. So I can see where, they can have that and then eventually people can download it all together. And so it's kind of already there, but I feel like it should be a separate thing, or maybe even a slider to where you can turn off those features to where you can go back. Because isn't it once you have the beta, you can't play with people outside the beta, right?
No, you can't. You have to uninstall the beta or remove the beta depending on what type of device you are.
Yeah. So I think that either those beta features could be modular and can be removed, or just have a separate app in general. Because once you get that beta, you're kind of stuck, and that might be why the player pool of that is a little bit smaller, is because if you start having too many people in the beta, then you're splitting your servers, and then once you're splitting your servers, then you have people not playing in the right areas, and you're really splitting your community at that point.
Yeah, and I think like even during the betas they do like get some servers over to beta, but it's not many, so it's still okay. We can still play. But it is like you have to remove the beta if you're in Samsung. You have like to go to the app store, ask to leave the beta program, then leave like install the game again because it was on beta version. On iOS, you have to remove it from the beta by the test flight and download it again on App Store. It's a lot of stuff to do, and I don't think everyone can do that like a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of steps to go through to remove yourself from the beta, and somewhere down the line there needs to be something to where you can either, like I said, keep the app, turn it off, or just have a separate app to where, like example, PUBG, right? On Steam, now this is PC, so I totally get it's different, but on Steam, you have PUBG, you have experimental, and then you have beta. See, there are basically, you have alphas, betas, and full release. So if you want to go see what kind of crazy stuff they cooked up in the kitchen, you go to the experimental. Some of that stuff doesn't even make it to beta. You're just playing with fire at that point. It is just weird stuff. But if you just want to see the stuff that's probably coming, it just needs to be tweaked. You can go play the beta. And that in itself gives a lot of variety, but I don't know. Again, that it's I think it really just comes down to a lot of cost at that point. Cost to push updates in beta, cost to push all this stuff out, because they've got to plan a lot of stuff in these beta releases before they send them out, because again, it's more stuff to be done. And so there's a lot of planning in that. And if they can figure out how to apply updates without having to go through the Play Store or the Apple Store super, super hard all the time, then that would give them the option to add stuff. If it doesn't work, take it out. People in the beta hate it. Well, just quietly remove that real quick with a little patch.
I think what they did now, it was also that not every feature is able for everyone. So some people have some features to test, others have the others. Like, it's not that everyone has the everything. It's a bit like some people have some and others have others. I don't think it's fully random, but the moment you get the beta, it gives you a certain amount of the things that are being tested, not everything.
Yeah, and I mean, Tyga here making a point that in Fortnite, you can independently, go switch builds on the fly, which I think would be rather interesting. Now that in itself depends on the player base and how many there are wanting to play with that, but at least that is an option that does exist. Someone is doing it, so it is possible to do that. And so knowing that technology exists, now developing it or finding a way to get access to that may be a little bit different, but again, being able to switch builds on the fly, going from beta to regular. Now, I know that in the past I've talked with Wadi, and it may have been said publicly, I'm not sure, but it's fine. It's not like it's a super secret. But they want to keep the app size relatively small, right? They don't want to create such a huge game to where it takes people forever to download, because people around the world have different internet speeds, and to where I think similar, and I know we keep going back to other apps, but like PUBG Mobile, you download the game, and it is relatively small, but you still get patches in game. And then once you're in game, you have the option to download HD resources, download extra maps, but you get the core game with the original download, but then you can download the other 5 maps, the HD textures, HD audio. I think there's even a download now for HDR. So if you want to get extra HD with your device and extra pretty, you can.
I think that in the end it does go out for like CF on the cost and value back. What do they go if they get enough back? If they get more a profitable way of doing it, then sure, why not? They should. If there's profit on it, why not capitalize on it as a company?
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, at the end of the day, they are running a business. It may be a gaming business, but it's still a business. So that definitely does make a huge mark on it. And I think if they could figure out the technology side to where either switching the builds on the fly to where if you're beta people, you're probably okay with a bigger app size, you're okay with that. And you're going to have to download, like I said, you have to delete and re-download anyway. So why not just make the thing twice the size and be able to have 2 builds fully separate, reuse assets where you can, so the file size can be smaller, but make it where people can switch between beta and regular so they can actually not have to go through all that hassle of joining a program, leaving a program, going back, going forward, because sometimes that's a lot to be done, especially when you do want to maybe go back to the beta and start testing stuff out, so you can have people who may have just got approved, and you're like, well, we should test that. So that would give them some options with that.
Me personally, I stopped joining the beta because of that. After I always got in the bed, then like my friends would be like, "Hey, let's rank," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't. I'm in the bed," and I had to leave, uninstall, install the game, lose my settings. I have to do all my settings over again,
Oh,
all the senses over again, all the graphic settings over again. It was just so. How do we say it?
tedious.
Exactly, so tedious that I was like, I'm gonna just stay on the main version. Let I'm a play. I'm gonna just stay here. If I don't play, I don't. If I do, I do. At least I don't have to uninstall it again.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too, to where you want to go play with people, but you got to go through all those steps now. They could make it easier if they maybe had cloud settings where, like, your account, you could download your settings again, because when you get real granular with your settings and your placements of everything, that's a lot to redo. So not only do you have to re-download it, but then you got to spend the next half an hour setting your stuff back up. And I don't know. There's options. Like, cloud settings could be a thing. Probably should be a thing anyways. Might be nice if they could. I don't know how much storage that would take up. I'm sure that would be a config file somewhere, but they could either back those up or have the player, if they want to back those up, cloud syncing maybe. Um, and then again, be able to switch between builds. I think is honestly probably the best idea. Just have an extra fat app so that people can test the things out. It puts them in, gives them some kind of marker or an ID for the servers that they're in beta form, and then that pushes them to those servers. And then see how that goes. Honestly, and that should be a pretty feasible option if, say Fortnite can do it. Now, granted, Fortnite is Fortnite, and Fortnite has lots of money because it's Fortnite and Epic in general, but it might be something to look into.
I agree.
But I think we've pretty much hit most of the patch notes at this point and what the fixes have been. So hopefully Critical Force can, might listen in, check it out, a couple of our suggestions for game modes, patch updates, frequencies, just overall. I don't know if they, if they'll publicly tell anybody or let us know as far as why they do these patches in the way they do. Because I guess my last thing for that would be like, you have the critical pass, right? Or now you have whatever the battle pass is, essentially.
The operation.
Operation, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what they
Not
call
right
it.
now. The operation boiling point.
Yeah, and so stuff like that. I think, that was kind of my main thing when I was talking with Waddy originally about the critical pass, was it ended before the patch was there. All that needs to be synced up. All that needs to be together. New releases in the store. I think if they could potentially roll stuff out like that just separately instead of having to do that, trying to find a way that could be modular, to where more content can be pushed out, more skins without having to just wait for the next patch of, the big release of everything.
Yeah, if they can sync up like the changes as the ranked season, like ending always the same distance one by the other, will also be kind something of to add, as this last season's been here for a while. I think it's been more than 6 months that it's been here.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be updated.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm not complaining, as I need to get that Spec Ops, and I'm still trying to get that Spec Ops, but it has been here for a long time.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that does give people like yourself who's still working on it a chance to get there, but at what point do you just have an absolute monster list of Spec Ops? That in itself should be the people who can, as I'll put it, regularly achieve it. Those are your real Spec Ops. Now, if you just have 6 months to a year to just get it, then it loses its value for the people who earned it in the first couple weeks or first month.
There's something like people would say like, fix ghostings and fix all that ghosting part of ranks, and I personally, I don't know how they could fix that part. It's like, it's not a bug, it's not something they can really do, and they're like, it's when like a guy takes two phones and joins a rank in both sides. So he's on the city like with his four friends and has a phone on the T side, and
Hmm.
then gives himself info by that phone. So he sees what the guys are pushing, tells his mates, etc. And that's a thing that happens a lot on Spec Ops Boost ranks.
Ooh.
And there's something like we see people having 30 games, 30 wins,
Hmm.
which already makes it kind of suspicious. And a lot of people complain saying, "Yeah, devs don't do anything about it." But what can they do? They won't be. They can't ban the IPs to have more than one player because what if his brother wants to play?
Yeah. Yeah. Siblings are a thing. I mean, they could implement similar to other shooters where there's a kick option. If there's someone who's not doing much or seems to be shooting at the floor, you can initiate a kick sequence and be able to get them removed. Now, at that point, maybe it requires at least 3 out of the 5. So that would, say that one person, they don't need them to vote. So not everybody's going to vote for stuff like that. So they could potentially add a voting system to where if someone's doing stuff like that or they suspect it, they could be kicked out of the match without repercussions. I know when I say that, like kind of like maybe because you got kicked, but then there could be people who are just going to be rage kicking people, and if there's damages to that, people could just get kicked down rank wise, and that's not fair. People are just being rude, so should just be kicked. I say with no repercussions. Maybe a small 5-minute timeout if you get kicked, or 30-minute timeout, something like that to time them out, but not really affect their rank at all.
Yeah, I think that's the option they should go, and hopefully it will come out soon.
Yeah,
Because it will be really useful to have a kick sometimes.
yeah.
Not they don't even need to replace it by a bot. Just being able to kick someone that's making you lose a game, it's already a good thing.
Yeah, when you see somebody who's 12 and 15, or it's fine. But then if you see someone 2 and 15, you might want to.
Today was in a game, and like we were winning 10-8, but one of our mates was like 1-18.
Oh, yeah. See, at that point, you're just like, well, we'll pick you up after this and just kick him out because he's just gonna keep losing it. That's just. Unless there's somebody who's really good who's offsetting that. If it's a balanced team and then there's one person losing like that, you got to let it go.
And it will also help with like hacker situation in case like the hackers are in a party and just randomly falls in with 4 other guys and they just be like fair playing and they go and kick him.
Yeah, and especially that would help with people suspecting people of playing with them. If somebody hops in as a hacker, then they're like, no, we do not condone this. Boop them out, and that'd be a lot harder for hackers to really get those games because it won't count.
Mm-hmm.
They get booted. Now they're timed out, and I think that would be almost a good way, community-wise, to allow the community to help also police people like that.
And if we see he's not getting kicked, means people in there are partying and are playing with it and like the fact that he's there.
Yes.
And we can also, like, with the recordings of the games showing that they are not kicking him.
Yep.
Here, they are helping. They are actually abusing it.
Yep.
Get them banned.
And see, at that point, you have the reason why I said 3 out of 5 is because if 2 people are partied together and one is the hacker, that other person can't save them. It's where you're relying on the whole team to cast the vote. If you get 3 out of 5, then you're booted to where, like, if there's a double team, then your other guy's just kind of screwed because he's gonna be there by himself, and either he can leave or keep playing to make it look like he's not with him.
Or he'll also get kicked in the end.
Yeah, and so it just kind of depends, but I think that'd be a nice way the community could help police itself with having the option to kick people. So
I think that's overall pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much hit all the high notes. And guys, if you guys want to check out that option to check out the patch notes for anything we may have just didn't hit, just because it's a quality of life thing, something small, then you guys can check that out on criticalopsgame.com under the news section. You can find the most latest patch notes. But looks like we're just gonna go and end it off here. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. And of course, thanks to Deepa for hanging out with us. We'll have some more podcasts with some more, interesting topics coming soon in the upcoming weeks, but do keep an eye out for that. And of course, don't forget to go ahead and follow me on my other social media channels. All the things will be in the description. You guys can find my other 2 channels and all my other medias where all those things are chopped up and put out in smaller, more digestible pieces, just like this podcast will. All those, again, will be in the link in the description below. Don't forget to hit like and do all the things, notifications for when we do go live with things like this or videos come out. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching with us. And until the next podcast, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you there.